Welcome to Bridges to Alignment with Britt Bridges, Wellness Reimagined. This is a safe, transformative space where we explore energy healing, natural wellness, and the connection between mind, body, and soul. Through light, sound, and intention, you'll discover practical ways to align your energy, heal from within, and reconnect with your deepest self. This is your bridge to healing. This is your bridge to alignment.
Welcome, dear friends, to Bridges to Alignment, Wellness Reimagined. Hi, drop me a line. Tell me where you're viewing from. Love to hear. Welcome to the new viewers. Welcome to you, those of you who are returning. So grateful to have you here in the studio here at Everything Frederick Live. We're broadcasting from Maryland in the United States. Beautiful outside here. I don't know. What's the weather like where you're at? Not too hot today, so that's nice. So today, well, just so for the new viewers, you know what we do here. This is a safe healing container where we discuss all things energy, in particular energy healing modalities. So natural ways to heal the mind, body, soul, spirit using energy. And we have a very special guest today. He's going to come in here in a bit after we do our nervous system regulation work. But we've got Geno in the studio today, and he is joining us from Copperly Cultured. He is an Atlanta-based mixed media artist. And we're going to be talking all about copper, crystals, and his backstory, because he's one of the OGs when it comes to energy healing, and he's been doing this for quite some time. So excited to have him here. And of course, always great to have your energy here. And just know your energy is a currency, my friends. Energy is a currency. So I just want you to know that I am grateful that you chose to spend the next 30, 40 minutes with me and Geno today. And yes, so thank you for yours. Know that's reciprocated back to you as well, the energy. And what I want to do today is, well, first of all, I want to also tell you a little bit about what I do. I am a Reiki master here locally, but I also offer services virtually. And what I do is I work with universal life force energy to help balance the energy within your energetic field. And I always bring my little handy dandy illustration here to show you and illustrate what our body looks like, what our electrical body looks like. We actually have a electromagnetic field, also known as an aura, around our body. We have a negative and a positive charge. Think of us like big batteries. Think of our cells like batteries. And essentially what Reiki does is, what I do is I help you to identify where you have energetic blocks within your energetic body, and I help you to move those energy blocks out of your body. And the energy blocks are a mix of emotions that are stuck and stagnant within our energy field, in addition to toxins from our external environment and programs that we've inherited from our ancestors, that we have and basically subscribed to because of society, etc. So helping folks to deconstruct old, outdated programs that are not agreeing with your system anymore, and helping you to reprogram the subconscious mind so you can align with your soul's desires and you can raise your frequency. Because when we raise our frequency, that means we're operating out of higher frequency emotions like unconditional love, happiness, joy, peace, harmony. Now, don't we want to operate out of that? Yes, that's how we make the world a better place. All right. So I always like to give my disclaimer. Content that we talk about in here might be new to you, may not have heard it before. And that's a good thing, because that's how we expand. That's how we expand. I'm just cleansing the space. This is a cleansed and protected space, but I always like to do a little bit more incense, just to do a little bit more cleansing. I just love the smell too. And so I invite you today to have an open mind as you're hearing this content, and know that using your discernment is encouraged here, because discernment is actually using your intuition, and that's one of your superpowers. And use your discernment as you hear things. So if there's something that makes you think, I'm not sure I subscribe to that, wonderful, because that means you're actively using your intuition. But I do encourage you to make a mental note or write it down, and then go into prayer or meditation later. Go into your heart, right? You commune with higher power and ask Divine Spirit or higher power, is this my truth? And let it be revealed to you. Okay. So just remain open to all the information that's coming in today, because I will tell you this, that this is all divinely channeled, divinely led, and it is meant to be an activation for you. So definitely set the intention to receive whatever it is your higher self would like to receive today. All right. So this is going to lead me into our breathing segment, where I like to always get our nervous system regulated before we start, because when we have a regulated nervous system, we tend to be more open to receiving information, and we obviously take ourselves out of fight or flight. So we're just in a nice, peaceful state of mind, ready to receive. And I want to do just a more simple breathing technique today, because this is one that you can just pull out of your pocket really fast if you're feeling a little anxious while you're at work, in traffic, wherever you are. And it's called resonance breathing. And it's very simple. It's simply breathing in for whatever count you'd like. I typically do 10 seconds in, and then I'll do 11 seconds out. And this is going to be guided. And so before we do that, I do want to do a quick movement of our body, just to kind of get the jitters and the tension out. So take a moment now, and let's go ahead and do a couple shoulder rolls and a couple little like shimmy and shakes. All right. And then you can do a little neck roll gently. Last one, do your jaw. Let's stretch our jaw, because right now I'm going to tell you, we're in a very highly energetic period leading up to the solar eclipse on August 12th. So a lot of us are feeling, the tension and this big energy that's flooding the planet right now. And that's causing us to have, things come up and out of us, body aches and tense muscles and tense fascia within our body. So that's why it's important that we're moving our body, because again, we're electrical. We need to move so the electricity can move through our bodies. And so our jaw tends to get really tight, guys. I know mine does. And just, from doing regular activity. So let's go ahead and stretch our jaw open. Popping is encouraged. And go to the left and right. Awesome. All right. So find a comfortable seat. Close your eyes. Go ahead and take a deep inhale into the belly. And exhale. Also, when you take your deep inhale, you can place your tongue at the top of your mouth, the roof of your mouth. That will help as well for that breath to really get into your lungs. Go ahead and take another deep breath in. Exhale. And one last deep breath in. And exhale. Wonderful. And what's really great about resonance breathing, not only is it really simple and it takes your body out of fight or flight pretty immediately, but what it's also doing is it's connecting your heart chakra to your third eye and your crown chakra. Because the best place that we can operate out of are those two chakras, right? We don't want to make too many decisions from our heart because we don't want to make every decision from emotions. But we also don't want to make every decision out of our crown and our third eye because we don't want to be making all those logical decisions. So we want to connect the brain to the heart. That will be a nice balance. It increases the emotional intelligence in that moment. So we're making mindful decisions and choices. All right. So before we invite Geno here on the podcast, I want to take a quick break, hear from some of our local sponsors, and we will be right back.
Sponsored by Lawn Squad. Quick and easy quote, and you can be on your way to having the best lawn in the neighborhood. Watch the progress as Brian from Lawn Squad brings Danny's lawn back to life. Visit lawnsquad.com. Sponsored by Maryland Lottery. Tons of ways to win. Hot scratch-offs like big money where a $5 ticket could net you $50,000 or the $2 Monopoly ticket with a top prize of $10,000. Go to mdlottery.com for all the details. Plus, you can download the app and scan your tickets to see if you're a winner. Must be 18 to play. Please play responsibly.
And welcome back. All right. Welcome to the most exciting part of this episode, which is Geno. And let me tell you a little bit about Geno. I told you that he is Atlanta based, but he does operate virtually as well. He's a mixed media artist, sculptor, and copper jewelry designer. He has over 20 years of experience, and basically his life changed. I'll let him share that story, what really, sparked the moment that he decided to choose the profession that he's in now, because it's a really cool story. But his work is truly one of a kind. Very, very special original creations and pieces. My father actually just purchased a beautiful copper bracelet from him, and he is extremely talented. And even beyond him being a creator of art, he channels divine messages, and they're the most inspiring, beautiful divine messages. So I highly encourage you to find him on Instagram. There's actually in the description, we'll leave contact information where you can find him on Instagram, but I encourage you to follow him and just take in all his beautiful activations, because he has been a wealth of knowledge and wisdom for me. So without further ado, hey, Geno, welcome.
Peace, love, family. How is everyone today? It's so great to be here with you, and I appreciate you extending this time for us.
Absolutely. No, it's interesting, right? Because this was such a divine connection. When I came across Geno's page on Instagram, and he was delivering one of his messages that he was channeling. And I thought, wow, this is something to marvel at, the information that he was sharing. And at that time, I had actually sent out into the universe. I asked higher power to deliver me with somebody who can come and share about crystals and copper and, these different natural elements that we can work with to heal mind, body, soul, and spirit. And then boop, he popped up on my algorithm literally within 24 hours of that. And I was like, oh my gosh, you've got to come on the show. So very excited to have you. And let's talk about, what you do, what led you here, right, to this working with the elements here on Earth to create these beautiful pieces that you offer.
It has been an amazing journey. I guess a little bit about myself. I come from very humble beginnings. I grew up in a very wooded area. I spent a lot of time in nature. And I feel like my elevation started earlier. It was a seed and it came from nature, just without anything, without reading. And it was just feeling, being present, operating out of intuition, being a forager and an adventurer through the forest. And that is also where I started doing my first original shadow work, if you will, for those of you who are familiar. But first, before
we got to talk about that, the shadow work, because we've actually never talked about that on the show, and that's a really good topic. So let's bring that back up later.
Absolutely, absolutely, and thank you for that breathing exercise. It helped me be present.
Right? Isn't that incredible? Just 3 deep breaths, how it can just immediately take your body out of this tense resistance feeling and just
Absolutely.
Yes. So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. So yes, so you had you said Dark Night of the Soul when you were in nature growing up as a kid, right?
Yeah. So, I had an opportunity to kind of develop a language through feeling through my hands. My father cut a lot of wood. My father probably cleared maybe 5 acres by himself with his 2 young sons, me being one of them. And so I feel like I started dealing with the elements early. Then later on in life, in my teenage years, I met a homeless man to begin the real story with copper. I met a homeless man and I would see him making copper jewelry. And I was immediately fascinated and soul struck by seeing that work. And I had never had any other real affection with any other metal, gold or silver, as far as me wearing it. And I just immediately wanted to put it on my body. Later on, I found out what that's all about. So I would go and visit him, and I would try to save money to try to get these pieces. I just wanted everything. and so that was the beginnings, my first introduction to copper jewelry, in a sense of just the love, the appreciation of it to begin with. From that point, one day I decided I had did the whole corporate America thing and just trying to figure out what I was going to do with life. And I decided to buy some copper, some tools, and just sit down with it. At that particular time, I was living in a great, wonderful, energetic place called Little 5 Points in Atlanta. For any of you who may be familiar or who have visited that place, it's a multicultural hub. And I moved there, and so I purchased, the things. I sit down in my room, and I immediately begin to create. from that very moment. I think by the end of my 7-day period, my first week, I had pieces all around me.
Wow.
And, you know, like some of you, my learning process has always been that. It's always been a thing of sitting with something, and it just takes off from that moment forward. It was your destined encounter with whatever that thing may be. It may be a musical instrument. It could be anything. So that was how that began. And funny part is that I moved this great soul into a resident that I had behind me. It was kind of like a makeshift barn, and but it was very clean and everything. And I was trying to save him from being homeless, and so I moved him in, and I was creating on it. He didn't know that I was, you know, I had started creating and whatnot. And so after him staying there for about 2 months, you know, I said, I want, you know, will you come in and see what I've been doing? And so he came in, and he actually was upset. He wasn't very pleased.
Really?
Yeah. Funny enough. And he left, and he said, you know, I don't belong here. And so he went back out. He was one of those who chose to be in a state of quote unquote homelessness.
Mm.
But if you ask him, he would tell you that his home was wherever he went.
Yeah. Interesting. That was his destiny. That was he knew that was his purpose on this planet, was to
Yes.
serve in that role. Mm.
Yes. He was the tough love missionary. He was the tough love teacher. He taught through tough love. And everybody just understood. And his name was Copper John, by the way. Rest in power, Copper John. He transitioned in 2008. And so I continued forward creating. And that led to probably a 20-year stretch doing many other things. I got into design. I started experimenting with paint, and it rolled back around. I had to kind of, you know, touch base with it here and there, but it really came back full-fledged within this last 5 years, where I dedicated my time full-time to the craft. And
wow. Okay. So after that experience or that encounter with him where he was dissatisfied, you decided you didn't want to pursue the copper creations at that time.
I did for a period, but life was happening, and I was going through a lot of transitions as well. It didn't discourage me at all. For those people who knew Copper John, he would alternate between love and an internal battle that he was having. So you didn't really take anything he said personally. You could see him one day and he's doing some shadow work, and you could see him the next day and he's very, very loving. So this was just who he was understood to be. So yeah, I continued on, and he continued on. And so yeah, that was I would say the first chapter.
Gotcha. And at what point did you learn about the healing benefits or how powerful copper is, and share that with the audience? Because yeah, it's important knowledge.
Absolutely. I would say years after first initially creating the copper, I would say it's been in the last 7 or 8 years where I really started to get more knowledge about the metal itself. And I can share that if this is appropriate time, you know, some of those.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So copper is a carbon-based metal. And just to give you guys some history, copper was the first metal mined before all other metals. Copper was the initial tool used to create to tell stories. Your first depictions of a creator was in copper. And just so you know, it was a asexual being. The very first image of a creator being was in physical form, was a asexual being, and that was formed out of copper. Copper, the element itself, actually looks more like a rock when you find it, and it's very dense.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's in its raw form. It comes out just like anything else, but of course, it's very dense, it's very heavy, and it has a natural patina on it already. It's quite beautiful. I would say if you had like a nugget the size of a $50, it would be pretty heavy.
Oh wow, which makes sense, because if you think about like you holding a bunch of pennies, well, I don't even know, like, are pennies still copper?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you just imagine holding a good handful of pennies, a small nugget size copper would be the equivalent weight. It would feel very similar. So yes, very dense. The United States is currently trying to get more copper mining permits because we don't actually have a lot of copper mining facilities here in the U.S. A lot of our copper is imported, but there's plenty of copper beneath us.
That was what I was going to ask. It's plentiful here as well?
It is. You know, basically the way the earth works, if you drill deep enough, you can find just about anything.
Gotcha. Any crystals, any kind of, elements.
Yeah. Certain regions may be more plentiful in certain gemstones, etc., due to maybe the location or movement of the tectonic plates, heat, temperature, environment plays a role in gem formation, etc. But to get back to the healing elements of copper, which we definitely don't want to miss, is this. These are the things that you want to know when you are wearing copper or you're pursuing a relationship with copper, because that's kind of how I look at it as a relationship. Copper first deals with the blood. When you have healthy blood, you have healthy organs. Okay. Your brain is actually made of copper. It just shows up as white in the sense of a color, but it's actually copper. So as time goes along, as you begin to age, your copper begins to deplete.
I have a question real quick. Is that so? Our brain is carbon based, essentially.
Yes.
Because copper is carbon based.
Absolutely.
I'm thinking like in terms of like the table of elements. You know what I mean? Like that was what was going through my head when you said that.
yes, and I'll definitely put the footnote that it's comprised of mostly copper. And so whenever we begin to lose that copper is when we could have cognition failure. Just the connections of the neurons, because when we think about how our brain operates, the physical part, we have neuronic connections and we have current moving between those connections, and those connections can get broken, but they can get reattached when we are able to absorb copper back into our system. It really assists our overall system. And because blood is the plasma, the healthier your blood is, the easier it is for your internal organs to heal and get vibrationally in alignment.
Because it's oxygen, right? Because it oxygenizes it, essentially, your blood.
Yes. Your blood has a relationship with copper. It knows what to do with copper.
I have a quick question for you.
Mm-hmm, sure.
So like these patches I wear, they help to generate copper peptides in my electrical body, in my body. So is that essentially, right, if you really get down to like the nuts and bolts, is that the same thing that we're talking about, the copper peptides? Is that also the same element of the copper that you're wearing?
Exactly. And for some amazing divine reason, our skin knows how to process it, much like plants are processing carbon dioxide.
Yeah,
it's built in.
Well, yeah, and I think it's what you said earlier too. It's that light technology. Like that's essentially what we are. We're light technology.
Absolutely. And when you want to manipulate copper when you're making jewelry, you're using oxygen. Oxygen, without oxygen, you can't get copper to melt. So oxygen, of course, we know how special that, oxygen is, and it plays many different roles. So our body is hungry and needing copper, much like any other vitamin that you supplement. You're supplementing your copper by wearing your copper. Copper just being around you is beneficial. Even if you're not wearing the copper, it's still beneficial. Bacteria do not like to be around copper. Copper has a natural 6-foot force field that repels bacteria.
That's interesting. Because you remember back in the day, everything was piped copper, and we had like copper. Was it in our walls too? I just remember hearing this, that everything used to be copper. So it's interesting that they removed copper from homes.
Exactly. I would say probably 90% of homes currently still have copper all throughout. That's always been the primary.
The older homes, not the new construction homes. I'm pretty sure not, because I've lived in a new construction home recently, and there was no copper in it. I mean, besides the electrical devices, of course, because I think, isn't the basis of every electrical device copper?
Yeah, if you go to your outlet and pull it out of the wall, it's most likely it's going to have copper ran into those outlets. Of course, they've supplemented fiber optic and a few other things here and there, but primarily copper is the base for most electrical work. It's the most conductive metal, which is why they have traditionally used it, and it's cheaper for them, right? You couldn't go and wire homes with gold; it'd be pretty expensive, or silver. So copper has just been the most efficient metal, but yet very powerful, because it's no other metal conducts electricity like copper.
Right. And I believe a lot of Nikola Tesla's work, he used a lot of copper.
Correct.
His creations.
Absolutely. Yeah. That was the basis for a lot of the technology that he was experimenting with. Copper coils probably being the most universal, I think, throughout time. I mean, if you go into any culture, you're probably going to find a copper coil somewhere.
Yeah. And like, a friend of mine recently shared this with me, and I thought, that's really smart. Like, if you have a old computer that you need to, get rid of, or old TV or electronic device, that first you should get the copper out of it, because you can put that copper around your house to protect your home energetically.
Absolutely, yes. Recycling, this is why the recycling industry is so huge. They take the things that we've used and we bring them back, and then they extract the metals. It's always been about the natural resources in these products. And without these natural resources, these products could literally not exist. I'll throw out just another interesting thing, is that radio is probably one of the oldest forms of communication. The radio is really the original internet, but they are based in crystals. Without a crystal, you can't have radio, which is, of course, communication. So natural resources are at the heart of everything that we really do and have created.
Yeah, I mean, we're really natural resources too, right? Because our brain is magnetite crystals, and I think calcite crystals there's crystals in our brain. So and everything has crystals, right? Our cell phones, our watches. Yeah. And you incorporate crystals into your work as well, right?
Absolutely. And that's a great point. And that's the reason why spiritually and physically we are able to communicate with everything, because we are it, literally, at the base level. We are it. We are the protons, neutrons, electrons. And so there's not really anything that you could look around you right now. If you just take 1 second, look around you and realize that every single thing you see has come from the earth. It has been transformed, of course. It's been machinerized and, you know, melted and additives, etc. But at its core, it is the natural resource in a new form. So look at what we've done creatively, how many amazing things we have created from the earth, and it's all natural resources. So, because if we were to look under a microscope and look at the formation, the very foundation of those things, and then we look at ourselves, we can see the connection.
Exactly. That was beautifully stated. And copper also holds, and copper and crystals, they hold a frequency from the earth, essentially. And that's why they're so healing as well, right?
Yeah. Everything ultimately has a base frequency, if you will. It's kind of like I have to go back to the reference of CB radio. And CB radio, you have many different frequencies. So everything has its respective frequency, and you can kind of dial in. And if you know what the frequency is, you could pick it up. I mean, I would think theoretically how they locate a lot of things is they find out what the energy resonance is, and then they go look and say, oh yeah, copper is probably over there.
That makes sense.
It's emitting its frequency. And in sound therapy, the great Royal Rife, who created one of the first frequency technologies, studied and recorded the vibration of a healthy heart, and he would play it back to an unhealthy heart and rebalance it and bring it back into harmony again. So we're constantly dealing with frequency.
That's just fascinating, right? Like my little wheels in my brain are just hearing that, you know, that frequency is that powerful, because really that is the basis of us, light and sound.
Light and sound. All the great sciences are the languages of whatever you would refer to as your supreme source. It's just the language. It's the language of light, is the language of sound, with the dial slightly turned. These are all languages, and they're all natural resources, and they're tools that we have are still learning how to use. You know, I think sometimes about the amazing discovery of fire itself. Could you just imagine being present, being new to this world, and one day you discover fire and observing its behavior and then figuring out its usages. Somebody got burned in the beginning, but they kept going and they kept experimenting and finding out, oh, I can light up a room with this. Oh, I could see with travel. I could cook. I made all the amazing things. So that's how it all starts, with that discovery.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And so as you're creating your pieces, what inspires you to, because for those of you, you've got to check his Instagram out, because Copperly Cultured, because it's amazing, his work. And I always tell him this every time I see a new piece, it's an activation, because I'm like, oh my gosh, that just took me somewhere when I looked at it. But what inspires you to make your pieces? Are they all custom, or do you have stuff on hand that you just get like divine downloads to do?
Yes, I would say all of the above. You know, in the beginning, it was just me understanding the language and getting my hands familiar with the metal itself. I would say as time has went on, it's become a lot of channeling. I mean, to the point that I'm still, after doing this for so long, I have moments of amazement and epiphany. It's like I'm doing it, but I'm a witness to it as well. And I don't know always what things are going to be necessarily. I just listen. And this is what really heightened my listening skills with spirit, is through this creative process. So, I will give you an example of a moment where I, will have amazement sometimes. So, I may be creating something. When you go through the teaching process, it's a little bit different than just being hands-on and doing things organically. So I may create. Let me show you. Like, for example, you see this space here, right? This kind of looks like an eye. So I'll create this, and when I'm finishing creating this, what we would call like a frame, I may reach over into a pile of crystals and put it in there, and it'll literally snap in. But I didn't do the measurement based on the crystal. I just created the housing,
Wow.
and it will literally snap in, and I don't have to do any soldering or anything. That amazes me because that's technically not supposed to happen. You're supposed to have to measure the stone and create the frame, put the stone in, and secure it. So that happens a lot of times in the process, and it happens. It's happened so many times. It's like, okay, I get it. Obviously the instructions were there prior to me actually creating the piece for that particular crystal, because they all have a home in a piece. And so that's just one of the examples.
I love that. To me, that's such a metaphor for life in general. Just how you just kind of go with the flow, and you tap inward to higher power, and you just trust what's coming through. Everything just kind of snaps into place, right? With our lives, what we're supposed to be doing, what we're supposed to be, who we're supposed to be doing this life with, our purpose in general. So yeah, thank you. What a great story. So I'm very fascinated with crystals personally. And I think that originally I was just fascinated because they were pretty. And then once I awakened, and then once I started learning more about the elements and the universe and the frequency of everything, and coming to realize that these crystals actually are powerful and they have healing properties. And so my question is does the copper amplify the healing benefits of these various crystals?
If I didn't know any better, I would think that you knew a whole lot more of this. Yes, absolutely. It is definitely an amplifier because, basically you're taking a crystal and you're housing it in a electrical framework. So you can have amplification, but you can also have reception. Most things that are living, your natural resources, have a send and receive option. And sometimes we just think of things as just sending and not receiving. So it's a two-way process. So you could help the crystal recharge, re-energize, and you could also send out the messages, so to speak.
Really? So it does both. So like your piece itself, any piece itself, right? It does both. Is it with intentions?
Absolutely. The way that they are constructed is these things know us before we ever know them. Before a crystal ever got a name, it has an existence. And we begin to name things for reference purposes and ascribe things to them based on the relationship that we were building with them. But they definitely is definitely a remembering, a rejoining of a very ancient relationship. And so when we start to put the crystals with the copper, it's happiness, it's reunion. And we're forming the things now. We've reshaped and reformed the metal, etc., extracted it out of the ground, created beautiful artwork with it, and then installed a gemstone. And it's just like when you plug something into the wall, there's an energetic occurrence that happens then with us, with the piece itself. And now we're rolling now. The tool is effective and it's operable now. It's plugged in because we are the most amazing power source that there is. Human energy, human spiritual energy is infinite and abundant. So it's a great reunion.
Yeah, exactly. And copper and crystals, they hold memory, right? Crystals hold memory, just like we're a crystal based structure, like our human body. So we hold memories the same way. And those crystals, in my opinion, when I'm working with the crystals, I actually feel like it amplifies, it supports me to have the remembrance of who I was and who, my previous lives. Have you experienced that as well?
Absolutely. Ultimately, there's a library of information inside of these crystals because they have endured the timeline from the beginning of the creation of the planet itself. So
Yeah.
they hold memory, exchange memory, and they also like to be amongst each other. But this is one very important thing that I definitely want us to get. If we don't get anything else out of this time together, is that crystals are just like animals in the sense that you could find a stray cat or a stray dog, and once they spend time with you, a relationship is built, and that animal gets to know you, and you get to know that animal, and then you start harmonizing. This is the same thing with the crystal. So I say that to say that, let's just say um, there was someone who transitioned and they left the crystal. There are some people who do not want to take someone else's crystal, so to speak. But again, this is a new relationship, just like the stray animal. This is a new relationship, and you all will harmonize with each other and get to know each other. So then it becomes, quote unquote, your crystal. It's just in alignment with you. So it's all about relationships.
Wow.
It's all about relationships. And I would say, I hate to label the new generation, but we have to clear up some misconceptions just for spiritual productivity. And there's some ideas around that if someone touches your crystal, that your crystal gets affected. And what we should realize is that after that crystal has spent so much time with us and is taking on our resonance, if someone else touches your crystal, the only thing that could possibly happen is that person received the benefits of your auric field, of the energy resonance that you have created. So to feel that your crystal has been corrupted or whatnot, it should be a healing mechanism. So if someone is led to touch your crystal, I would say, don't be offended. Just know that there was something great that happened in that moment for that individual who was led, by the way, to maybe touch your crystal. But I do understand the great respect that people have because it's like your children or your animals. Sometimes, some people have a little bit more of a protective nature about these things, because of the relationship that they have. So I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, no, that's important. I've heard that before. So I'm glad you said something about that. And I do believe too, everything is intentions. So, I mean, even if somebody touched your crystal and you're sharing those healing benefits, I mean, you can just use your intentions, your own energy to cleanse and purify that crystal. I mean, that's how powerful we are, folks, that with our thoughts and tapping into that inner divinity and setting intentions, we can do anything, really. So, and Geno, if somebody wants to purchase something from you, can you give us, because we're wrapping up here, so can you give us kind of like the quick and dirty version of how they can order from you?
Yes, let me give you guys the quick version. You can reach out to me on Copperly Cultured on Instagram's platform, and that's COPPERLY Cultured, Copperly Cultured, and that's just a spin on being properly cultured. That's basically my whole mission statement is just stay properly cultured. So you can come on to the Instagram page. I'm old school, as they say. So what I recommend people do when you come on the site, scroll, just take in the pieces And I always say that anytime I create a piece, it's made for someone. So if something speaks to you, shoot me a DM, screenshot it, shoot me a DM, and let's go from there. I could either possibly recreate that piece. Some pieces I don't recreate. I've made agreements and with some pieces not to recreate them. But there are many that I can recreate. We can custom build, or if you're looking at a most recent post, that piece may still be available, and you can just purchase that piece, and I ship all over the United States and around the world. So yeah, just go to Copley Cultured on Instagram. That's actually the only place where I'm really set up right now. I will have a more of a marketplace that I'm kind of working on creating, and that's just coming along with time. So I look forward to greeting you, meeting you, working with you, and just helping overall with your energetic state.
Awesome. Thank you. That was very clear and concise. And just take note, when you're choosing your creators, when you're purchasing things, because a lot of heart and passion goes into this, like what Geno does. It's no different than going to see a Reiki practitioner or, a doctor. Think about who's creating these pieces or who's providing these services, because that energy be within that service and product. And so we're going to wrap up now. And, if you're interested in Geno's services, we've dropped in the description how to reach him on Instagram. And also, if you're interested in alignment and tapping into your greatest purpose and becoming your own energy master, check out willowwell.org under workshops, because there is an amazing workshop. It's over 6+ hours of content to essentially guide you into becoming your own energy master, because you can do it. You're that powerful. And so thank you again for spending time with us. Please give Everything Frederick Live a subscribe and like. We're so grateful that you spent time with us. Geno, so grateful to have you today and your beautiful, beautiful energy. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you all have a wonderful day. Don't forget to meditate. Bye.
Thanks for joining Britt Bridges on Bridges to Alignment. If this message spoke to you, be sure to like and subscribe for more conversations on energy healing, natural wellness, and living in alignment with your highest self. Bridges to Alignment is proudly part of the Everything Frederick Live podcast network and can be rewatched anytime on the Everything Frederick Live YouTube channel. Until next time, stay grounded, stay open, and keep aligning with the life you were meant to live.
This episode is a proud production of the Everything Frederick Live Podcast Network, your home for Frederick's best podcasts, streaming daily on YouTube.